Good evening to everybody. Today we will switch over to the cultural pattern, which is one among the cultural components. The cultural pattern is formed with the help of cultural traits and cultural complexes. These cultural traits and complexes are moved together. They had the close relationship and finally they form the cultural pattern. Particularly, the cultural complexes will determine in order to decide a specific type of cultural pattern. Example, caste system, family system like the joint family or extended family, and also the ruralization. And also this cultural pattern has at similar situation exhibit the similar behavior, and it is witnessed through by sharing the cultural beliefs, norms, values as well as the practice. Finally they use it to practice it. And then components of cultural pattern. One is symbolic symbols, languages, and also norms, values, and artifacts. These 5 points are the components of cultural pattern. And then like cultural trait, the cultural pattern is also having this universal phenomenon. One is family, second one is gender, third one is role, fourth one is incest taboo, fifth one is belief in supernatural powers, sixth one is marriage institution, and seventh one is art, eighth is the dance, ninth is the music. And with reference to the mind index, everyday activity, that is daily activities and governance, and also our attitude towards the others while we are interacting with others. And it has its own prominent characteristic features, that is the particularly by distinguishing the others. In which way? One is religious aspect, second one is the language aspect, third one is the ethnic group aspect. And the cultural characteristic features of cultural pattern. Number one is it is learned, transmitted, and also based on the symbols, changeable, ethnocentric, adaptation, and integration. Mr. Franz Boas, named as father of culture, his main contributions are: number one is describe the differences among the human behavior, and also the central analytical concept of anthropology. And finally, the Margaret Mead, a lady cultural anthropologist, is also contributed some services towards the cultural pattern. According to her, the cultural traits are arranged or designed in a permanent or semi-permanent pattern. So we call it as cultural pattern. Once again, we will rebrush the cultural pattern. Cultural pattern is one among the cultural components. The cultural traits and cultural complexes are very much needed in order to form the cultural pattern. Particularly, the cultural complexes are specifically determined if they want a particular type of cultural pattern. Example, caste system, ruralization, and also the family system. Again, it's subdivided, extended family and the joint family. And this cultural pattern is at similar situations exhibit the similar behavior, and it is dominate and it is noticed through the observation as well as the sharing of belief system, norms, values, and also practice. And the components of cultural pattern: symbols, languages, norms, values, and artifacts. And like the cultural trait, the cultural complexes also having the universal phenomenon. Number 1, family, gender, role, incest and taboo. Fifth one is belief in supernatural powers. Next, adaptation, marriage, art, music and dance. With reference to the mind index, it is everyday activity, that is ADL, activities in daily life and governance, and also where we are interacting with others, our attitude towards the others. And then the cultural pattern is also having some prominent features, particularly it distinguished with others. Example, religion, language and cultural group, that is ethnic group. And then characteristic features of cultural pattern. This is cultural pattern is learned, transmitted, symbols and changeable, and ethnocentric, adaptation and integration. Bias is called as father of culture, and his main contributions are: one is description of differences among human behavior, and then the central analytical concept of anthropology. Next, the lady cultural anthropologist named Margaret Mead. She also contributed some services towards the cultural group. So, according to her, cultural traits are arranged in permanent or semi-permanent design or in a configuration. What we call it as cultural pattern. By this, our today's lecture about the cultural pattern is completed. Please do subscribe. This is Bindu taking leave from the YouTube platform. Good day and good night.